Gary, CEO of Stoneblade Entertainment, and I am here at Gen Con 2021, finally live, able to show off so many awesome goodies today. So we're going to get started with the coup de grace, the most amazing thing that I've probably ever created to date, Ascension Tactics. This is the deck building miniatures game that we kickstarted last summer around when Gen Con was supposed to be happening, and we've had to do all of this remotely. People have been able to play the game on Tabletop Simulator for a year now. We've had all of the designs ready, but actually getting these really cool miniatures in my hands for the first time. I mean, literally, I got these in my hands about an hour before we started this conversation. Ascension Tactics takes all of the fun of the Ascension deck building game, that process of upgrading and improving and getting cards off of a center deck, and then adds it to the fun of a tactical miniatures game. So instead of using power to just defeat monsters and earn honor directly, you use power to control your miniatures, move them around the board, and try to take tactical control of those spaces and earn honor by controlling those spaces, attacking and killing other miniatures. You can also attach equipment to your miniatures to make them more powerful, and the whole experience can still be done in under an hour. But we didn't just stop there. This is a pre-printed board that you can kind of see here, and in addition to that, we actually have the other side of this board, which I'll show you here's a playmat version of it, which Kickstarter backers can also get, is blank, and we have a bunch of mobile terrain and an entire scenario book, so you can have a dozen different ways to play the game. Let me show you this beast. This is a giant, heavy scenario book with each one its own scenarios, its own rules, its own setups. You can play with different numbers of players, anywhere from 1 to 4. We also have a campaign mode that you can actually battle cooperatively or solo, and evolve your characters as you go. There's a story depending upon which character you start with, and you level up as you go, and you make choices that dictate where you go and which characters join your squad all the way up till the end, where the end is revealed. So it's the most ambitious project I've ever done. This beast is only available for people that backed the Kickstarter, so if you have backed the Kickstarter, this is coming your way in just a few short months. But if you haven't, it's not too late. We have over here, if you can kind of see, the Ascension Tactics Retail Edition. And the Retail Edition has all of the same gameplay as the full Kickstarter version, except instead of miniatures that are plastic, you've got these little cardboard standees. And the cardboard standees, exact same gameplay, all the scenarios, everything else that you could have. And we actually have a special running during Gen Con. There is a bundle deal right now where you can get, normally Ascension Tactics Retail Edition is $60, but you can get that plus sleeves to sleeve all your cards, plus my favorite thing, my little cultist plushie. For those that are familiar with Ascension, you'll recognize this guy. The cultist starts on the board, and you can every time you can spend 2 power to knock him out and get an honor out of him. And so he's always been a little kind of icon of our game, and people love to hit the cultist. But this guy actually, whenever you hit him, he has a little bag, so you can actually pull the honor out of him every time you knock him out. So he actually serves a purpose in the game, and you can whack him, and I'm sorry, I just love this.
What was that game, Golden Axe? Is that, like, you know what I'm talking about, where you whack the little dwarf?
Oh, yeah, where you hit the dwarf and knock him out. Yeah, so this guy's just cute. Anyway, you can get all of that for $80. That special is only during Gen Con, so you can order it online. We have links on our website right now, and we'll share the link here so you guys can actually pre-order it. You won't receive the actual product until later in the year. Kickstarter backers get their stuff first, but by November, December, all that stuff will be shipped out. And so this, again, after 10 years of Ascension, being able to take my love of miniatures games, I designed the World of Warcraft miniatures game before I started my company, and I play Warhammer 40K and all kinds of fun stuff. Being able to take those two loves and bring them together and bring something that's really new, that takes the best of both worlds, has been a real joy, and it's very exciting to finally get this into players' hands. So, speaking of the history of Ascension, the other thing that I've gotten into this show, which I haven't before, is all of the other goodies that have been delayed because of COVID, that have been completed for years, but not yet ready. And I want to show you some of those too. Now I want to show you what is really the sort of culmination of 10 years of Ascension. It is actually the 10-year anniversary edition of Ascension. And so this is the original game, but reimagined and remastered. It's brand new art that has modernized the game and taken it forward. We have a really cool design board, and it was actually great for me because I was able to even tweak a few things, right? The game has been, a great seller, and I love it, and I'm proud of it. But after 10 years of making it, I realized there's a few cards that were a little too weak, maybe one or two cards that was a little too, the cost was wrong, and so I was able to make those little changes that we've learned. And so this is kind of the ultimate edition of like how to play the game. And so for anyone who's not familiar with Ascension, this is the perfect entry point. It's very simple, very streamlined, beautiful design now. And so this is a great way, or if you want to get your friends to start playing, right, this is the entry point. And when I talk about stuff like the collector's edition, that's usually for people who are fans and want to get all the things. This is the great way to kind of get started and really see that initial vision of what I created, now 11 years ago, that's finally come to life and come to fruition. All right, this is our latest Ascension product. This is actually shipping to distributors right now, so it should be available at the beginning of October, and it is the second of the pirate sets for Ascension. We released Skulls and Sails, I guess now a year and a half ago, which was the first time we've ever broken the center row and turned it into something that's a little bit more mobile, a little bit more spatial relations. We added in pirate ships, these little dials right here. And you can actually move around the center row of the board and have your pirate ship be able to acquire cards there. And the spatial relations with other pirates matters, because if I land on you, I can raid you and take some of your treasures. Now, in Curse of the Golden Isle, which is our brand new release, we've also introduced the Ghost Pirate. And this ghost ship will actually chase people around the board, and if it lands on you, bad things happen. So in addition to being concerned about wanting your ship to be near the locations and the cards that you want to acquire and running away or potentially chasing after the other players to be able to raid them, you now have to worry about the Ghost Pirate. And the Ghost Pirate can sometimes be controlled a little bit. You can move them in the way that you want. And so it's really been a fun way to take something different, right? Take the formula that you know and love of a deck building game and having the center row cards and building your deck, and adding this idea of spatial relations on the board and having just the fun of being able to battle with pirates. And in this version of the game, you can also collect cursed treasure, and collecting the cursed treasure allows you to unlock special abilities if you're able to collect matching pairs, and gives you even more reason to move towards specific locations. When a treasure appears, you want to go chase after it. So this is just a really fun, really great shift of the game. Really, what we're trying to do is evolve the genre a little bit and do something that's different. And so again, this will be available in October everywhere, and we'll talk more about it, but this is another fun evolution to the Ascension deck building game. So now I want to talk about something that longtime Ascension fans have been looking forward to forever, and have been asking me for forever. 10 years, we have 16 major set releases along with some smaller products along the way. That's a lot of stuff. It's a lot of boxes. So people have been asking for one box to rule them all. One box to hold.
Big box, please.
The big box. This is the ultimate collector's box. And we actually did some really cool stuff here. We actually took the lid, and not only is it a magnetic lid, put this down so it doesn't drop, but the whole magnetic lid comes off, and then it becomes the game board. And so the whole thing becomes the game board, sets up. It's got enough spaces for every one of the mechanics that we've ever used over the years, up to the Pirates one. The Pirates one is separate. And then enough space to hold everything sleeved. And in addition to this sort of cool design and the ability to hold everything, it also comes with another product that I have actually had designed and kind of waiting for the right moment for 4 years now at least, and that is new champion cards. So I'm going to unfold this baby for a second and show these off. So for those of you that are Ascension fans, you're familiar with Dawn of Champions. These were all starting cards that you could start and play with and gave you unique powers. And we only ever had 4 of them, because that was all that came in that box. So these are 4 new ones that are playable either in combination with Dawn Champions or entirely on their own. So they give you a unique starting power. You earn reputation, and it tells you how to do that, and you can unlock special unique cards and new powers. So this is just a really cool, really fun way to completely shake up the game, and it's available inside of the collector's box. While we're here, I'll also share another item for collectors. We have the Year 6 Collector's Edition, so maybe a little harder to see because it's still in the wrapping. But this takes all of the content from Year 6 of Ascension, all foil boards, just super high premium components. We've done a lot of these over the years. Again, this one's been delayed for 2 years because of COVID shipping, but it's finally here. This one will be available by December, as will the collector's case. So, I am so incredibly excited to talk about SolForge Fusion. SolForge Fusion is a collaboration that I did and co-designed with Richard Garfield, creator of Magic the Gathering. It is based off of our original game, SolForge, which we actually kickstarted 10 years ago as a digital trading card game. And we have now brought it back to life as SolForge Fusion. And SolForge Fusion is a physical card game that uses brand new technology for how to print and create cards. So we digitally print all of these cards here in the US, and they are, each deck, half deck, is unique. So for those that are familiar with these games, it's like Keyforge and Magic Jumpstart had a SolForge baby, right? Each deck is unique, so nobody will ever play the same deck, but you can still customize by finding that perfect pair for what you have. One of the other great things about SolForge is that the main mechanic is that the cards level up as you play them. So each turn you draw a hand of 5 cards, you can play 2 of them, and every card you play levels up. Every 3 turns you reshuffle your deck, and that allows you to start getting access to higher level cards. And so there's a lot of strategy that comes in, not just playing the tactical lane-based combat of having your creatures fight and trying to push through damage and knock your opponent from 50 health to 0, but also for the long term. Which cards do I want to be leveling so that I have access to them later? What cards are my opponent leveling, and which things would I want to do to answer some of those and think about how they're playing it? And so there's an enormous amount of depth of strategy and literally limitless variety of possible ways to play, right? Well, I love trading card games. Richard obviously created the entire category. I made a living playing trading card games and making trading card games for a very long time. But at a certain point, what happens is everybody coalesces around the same decks, right? As a format matures, people just net deck and they play the same things, and the strategies get very narrow. That's not possible with SolForge Fusion, right? You can't just copy somebody else's deck, but you can customize your deck to make it your own. And that's really one of the huge innovations. One of the other great things about the game is, while it is a physical game first, right? We want you to be able to play at your friends, at your local store. We recognize that not everybody can do that, especially in this day and age. And so what you can do is each one of your Forgeborn cards, which are kind of your commanders, your avatars, they have a special code on the back. You can scan that. You can scan the QR code or enter in the alphanumeric code to add your deck to our online catalog. And then from there, you can click one button and export your deck to be able to play on Tabletop Simulator. So you'll be able to export your exact unique deck and play, and we're going to support organized play, not just in stores, but also online, and we'll have prizes and different ways to connect so that you're guaranteed to have a community of people to play, regardless of where you live, regardless of where you are. And our Kickstarter is live right now as we're recording this. We've got just about 2 weeks left. It ends on September 30th. It is currently for the US only, where we're going to do our initial launch, but this will be going global very soon in April of next year. So it's one of the projects that's been the most ambitious. It's creating something that's new. There are over 15,000 unique possible cards in set 1 alone, and more possible decks than there are atoms in the universe. So you will not get bored of this game, I promise you. And so it creates something that's really fun, that evolves something that I have literally been working on for a decade of my life, and really creates something that people have been resonating with. You can play it for free right now on Tabletop Simulator. You can go to stoneblade.com/SolForge and read all the lore, see all the backstory, ask us any questions that you want. There's tons of great depth here and characters and all kinds of fun stuff. So this is something I'm incredibly excited about, and you can back it now on Kickstarter.
I've got a question for you, Justin. I shared the news about the Kickstarter on my live show, and I had somebody in chat who had asked, well, wait a second, that sounds just like Richard Garfield's Keyforge. Mm-hmm. How does this differ?
Great question. So first of all, SolForge was around first. So the whole Forge name they stole from us. Let's get that off the table first.
Damn you, Richard!
Richard just likes Forge games, I don't know. So there's a couple of key differences, right? One, in Keyforge, you couldn't customize your deck at all, right? Every deck had a unique back. You couldn't combine them. These all have a common back, and they're designed to be combined. So you can shuffle any 2 decks together and play. That little bit of customization makes a world of difference, right? Because you can feel ownership. And if you ever played things like Magic's Jumpstart or Smash Up or any games like that, you see how that one choice of customization makes a huge difference. In addition, our gameplay and our game engine is something that I think is really unique and innovative. I mentioned it a little bit earlier, but this idea that your cards level up as you play them really gives you the feeling of not just having built your deck by shuffling 2 things together, but building it as you play. You have the ability to customize and control what happens. And so it gives you a lot more of a sense of skill, a lot more of a sense of ownership. And then there's some other innovations too, right? In Keyforge, it was true that every deck was unique, but you were only pulling from a normal set of cards, right? You had whatever it was, 200, 300 cards, whatever it was. From here, we actually algorithmically generate the cards as well as the decks. And so we will take different components, so you'll have like let's see if I can grab a guy here that'll show it off. So a wind spark elemental, right, could be different than a different guy, which is a rotund mystic. Each of those words means something. So you could recombine these and have a rotund elemental or a wind spark mystic, and each one would combine different powers together. And so the fact that these cards are fused or forged together creates a huge number of permutations. As I said, over 15,000 in set 1 alone. In addition to that, we also have...
Wait, there's more.
But wait, there's more. In addition to that, we've also done a lot of things to make our algorithm just ensure that there's a great gameplay experience out of the gate no matter what, right? You're never going to find a zombie lord with no zombies in the deck, right? You're never going to find a card that references another card type that doesn't have it. We have an algorithm that makes sure that the synergies are there so that even if you just open random packs, you're going to have a good experience. But you can also dream of the other half deck that you would want to combine and really make that happen. And the other thing that I really I think is really important and people underestimate is we are embracing the connection to digital from day one, right? It's a physical game first, but we are here to make sure that you can play no matter where you are, no matter what your situation is. If you're stuck at home, if you're quarantined, if whatever, right? You can still take your same physical cards, load them into the deck, and then play them online at Tabletop Simulator with some actual support and organized play in addition to at the store level. So, I think what we have done is taken Richard's really great idea with Keyforge, right, and the great project that we worked on in SolForge, and really tried to merge them together and move the conversation forward, right, build something new. Like, absolutely, we're standing on the shoulders of giants. In this case, it's the same giant standing on his own shoulders in some sense, but I think we really are. Anybody that was a fan of Keyforge, I think you're going to really love what we have here. And if you weren't a fan of Keyforge, you felt it was too restrictive or they didn't have enough tools for you to kind of take ownership, right? We're bringing something to the table that's not there. And I think that's really going to help differentiate us. And it's a good reason to come check us out.
I have a question. Other than the theme, what commonalities does it have to the
original SolForge? Yeah, that's a great question. So the heart of the original SolForge game was the leveling mechanic. I've talked about it a couple of times because it's innovative. There was nothing quite like it at the time. And there's, the idea of leveling up your cards, everybody's can be attached to, but this idea that there's no resource system, right? You draw 5 cards, you could play any 2 that you want. And the way that the resource system works is sometimes cards will be really good early, but they don't level as well. Sometimes cards will be really good late, and you might want to sacrifice your board position in the short term. And there's a story that you can tell of these cards, right? So in addition to gameplay value, there's also just this thematic and excitement value, right? The idea that the Scorchmane Dragon can start as a little 0/6 egg and then turns into a whelp that's pretty good, and then turns into a giant dragon that can leave fire to the whole board, right? There's a lot of fun that comes from that. And so that was really at the heart of SolForge. And we kept most of the heart of the game engine intact. So in addition to draw 5 cards a turn, play 2 of them, level them up, we also have lane-based combat. So you play your creatures into lanes, they fight whatever's across from them. If there's nothing across from them, they do damage to you. You're trying to reduce somebody from max health to 0. And so that was a lot of really the core of that game. And so we've kept and brought all of that forward, in addition, of course, to the characters and art and the story that people love. But we've also modernized it, right? The Forgeborn were some of our coolest characters in the original game. And those were, what was cool about them was they had 4 levels, which is neat. But in reality, you didn't get to play the 4th level of them very often in gameplay. And what we've done is we've taken the Forgeborn and we've made them front and center, right? They're in play all the time. Whenever you shuffle your deck, your Forgeborn levels up and you get access to a new power that's guaranteed to be there and you can use once per cycle, right? And so it's a very cool new way. We also made streamline the turns and made it a shared turn. So I'll play a card, then you'll play a card, then I'll play a card, then you'll play a card, then we'll have combat. And the priority of who's got what we call the forge, whose creatures are going to come in first and be aggressive, is what shifts from turn to turn. So it really makes the dynamic a lot faster. It makes it a lot of fun. And we learned some lessons too. From the original SolForge, we've compressed the power curve a little bit. So yes, the level 3s are better than the level 2s, level 1s, but not by quite as much as it was. You can still win, and we made more of the level 1s still pretty good late in the right situations. And we shrank the deck size. The original deck was 30 cards, and you'd play 4 turns, and so you'd see 2/3 of your deck, and now it's 20 cards, and you'll play 3 turns, so you see 75% of your deck, and you get to move from level to level faster. And so we've just learned a lot of lessons over the years about taking the heart of the game and now streamlining it in a way that lets us play. And of course, taking a digital game and making it physical has its own awesome challenges and excitements.
Oh, you're still here. Well, while you're kicking it, how about subscribing to the Gaming Gang channel? Or seeing the latest episode of the Gaming Gang Dispatch? Or finding out what YouTube recommends you check out here at my channel? And of course, don't forget, get your geek on at thegaminggang.com.